Welcome to Magic Arcanum. I'm Ryan Gomez. Behind the scenes is Nicole Burdick, and we're so glad you're here because it's story time. And as you can probably tell, today's story time going to be a little different. I'm in the middle of moving my office around. All I have set up is my PC, but I thought this would be a great time to answer one of the most popular, enduring, recurring questions in the entire Magic community. I am, of course, talking about, is Magic pay to win? Can you buy your way to victory? Can you just load up a deck with all of the most expensive cards and use that to crush your opponents? Is Magic pay to win? Does the more expensive deck have an advantage over a cheaper or a budget list? So to help answer that question once and for all, I hopped on Arena and I created the single most expensive deck I could come up with. I mean, it's like $500. It's a lot. Now, before I can show it to you, I of course have to mention this video was made possible by our sponsor, Into the AM. Check them out using my link down below, and you can save 10% on your entire order, site-wide. Usually, I would show off their incredible graphic tees, but today I am rocking one of their very handsome polos. They've also got hats and jogging pants and sweatshirts and so much cool stuff. I mean, don't you want to be the best dressed wizard at your next F&M or game night? Grab one of their bundles and you'll save even more. You get 3 awesome shirts of your choice for one low price. It's like a booster pack for your wardrobe. Make sure you use my promo code Magic Arcanum. Save yourself 10% site-wide. You're going to want to keep that money in your pocket when you play the most expensive standard deck you've ever seen. All right, so how did I try to answer if Magic is truly pay to win or not? Well, I started by pulling up a list of every card in Standard and sorted it by price. I noticed almost immediately there was a bunch of white cards within the top 15 or 20 most expensive cards in the format. And they seemed to share a common theme. A lot of them cared about tokens or were capable of making tokens. So I took all of that and I squished it all together into one deck, which I will show you now. This is Pay to Win White. It is a mono white deck for Standard, best of 1. We could make this even more expensive by adding a sideboard, but I just wanted to jam some games and see if we could buy our victories with really expensive cards. So to start things off, we've got 4 copies of Hopeful Initiate. That's like $20 right there. Then we need a way to slow our opponents down because a lot of our cards cost like 4 or 5 or 6 mana. So we're doing a couple of Invasions of Gobakhan, trying to tax them out and buy ourselves time. From there, we are into a very expensive 3-drop package, including the $10 Sword of Forge and Frontier, a pair of Adelines, 4 copies of Wedding Announcement, and a couple of Lauren of the Third Path. Every card in here is at least $5. Most of them are closer to 10, and there's a handful that are over 20. The important part to note, however, is the token making. We've got Adeline and Wedding Announcement both cranking out tokens potentially every turn. And then you come to this guy, Mondrak, who can double the tokens that are being made every turn. And he even works great with the Wanderer, who can also make a token or can just buff somebody or can just do generally good Wanderer things. There's a reason she's one of the most expensive cards in Standard right now. Adding to that even, we get Myrel and Elish Norn, the first of our 2 Elish Norns. Yeah, because we've got another one, and that's the 5-mana version that is just insane and will double any of our triggers from things entering the battlefield. We don't have a ton of those. More importantly, this kind of hoses a lot of our opponents' decks who are counting on doing things when they show up to fight. And then you get really expensive toys, things like Portal to Phyrexia or a single copy of the Cityscape Leveler. Can't forget the most important reset button of them all, 3 copies of Farewell. What about lands? Can we squeeze in some extra value in our lands? We got some basics, of course. We want to be able to cast all of our stuff on time, but we can also squeeze in stuff like Iganjo, a couple Plaza of Heroes, which will almost always make white mana. We have a ton of white legends in this deck. And then we even have the Mirex, which can make more tokens, which will get doubled by Mondrak. and a single demolition field just in case we need to blow up something that's causing us trouble on the opponent's side of the battlefield. So yeah, altogether, if you were to buy this in paper, you are looking at $475, give or take. That's a huge investment for standard. But what do you get for that money? Will this deck actually win games on the ranked ladder? Let's fire it up and find out. Okay, here we go. Our very first game with our very expensive mono white standard pay to win deck. We've got 2 basic lands and a very expensive handful of stuff. I don't think we can keep this. Mulligan gets us into much better shape. We've got at least something to do on an early turn and then a big reset button if we need it. I think we will keep this. Gonna put back one of these extra planes. And here we go. Let's see what our opponent has for us. A fairly expensive forest. I'm somewhat impressed. We'll open up with our initiate. Opponent plays a second forest and passes. Well, joke's on them. We also have nothing else to do, so we'll just get in there for one. And already our expensive deck is outperforming whatever our opponent's trying to do. Opponent with 3 forests now and still nothing on board. Tribute to the World Tree. Okay, you can have that. I think we just double up our initiates and keep swinging. Opponent drops Pelucranos. Now, one thing our deck is missing is really any sort of removal aside from our massive, massive farewell board wipe. That's okay. I'm not really worried. Not worried at all. We're going to drop Mondrak in here. And no attacks. Opponent with the mono green. Okay, that's respectable. I don't think this deck is quite nearly as expensive as ours, but we'll see who ends up getting the win. All right, opponent on the fight rigging plan. So their Pelucranos could now safely attack right into my Mondrak, but they're not going to do it. Oh, the sword. All right, we have enough to play and equip the sword, which is going to give us protection from green, which might just shut down our opponent's entire deck. We'll get in there with our sword-carrying Phyrexian Horror. Play an extra land. All right, opponent down to 12. We have an incredibly expensive board. This is like dinner and a movie on the table. Opponent, second copy, Tribute of the World Tree. I don't think that's going to do it for you. They need to find an answer to our sword Mondrak. All right, double Tribute triggers. Fight rigging, getting a little bit closer to flipping. Opponent passes, we'll take another turn. All right, so we could use Farewell and just get rid of the enchantments over here. That'd be like a 3-for-1. That seems pretty good. I think we attack first. See if we draw something better off of the sword. So we can hit them with the invasion, see if they're holding anything else up there. Or do we just want to farewell and get rid of all those enchantments? Yeah, let's just keep this nice and tidy here. Exile all enchantments, and that'll be it. All right, again, super expensive deck. So far, performing beautifully despite having to mulligan our opening hand. I cannot believe that this sword is going to be what does it for us. All right, so they are going to transform Pelucranos. They're going to be able to gain quite a bit of life off of that, so they're not dead yet, but it's getting close. Yeah, we'll just take all that damage. That's actually fine. Third hopeful initiate doesn't really help us here. Actually, maybe it does, because we can attack, do some training. Wanderer. So I think we'll just exile their Pelucranos right now while we can.
Learned much during my travels.
It won't leave behind any tokens.
You are not much of a roadblock.
And we can even move this sword over so we'll have a blocker that they won't be able to deal with because it's got protection from green. Come on, opponent, do you have anything in your mono green deck that's going to get you out of this? Oh, is green the color of being salty? Well, opponent is making an attack. I think we're just going to block that with our protection from green hopeful initiate. And then opponent fires off Awaken the Woods. Good for them. They have a bunch of tokens that won't be able to block our protection from green army. Anyway, that's a victory. That's a win. We paid for that win. We had an extremely expensive deck, and we were able to outmatch everything the green deck was able to play. Can we do it again? Let's find out. All right, here we go. Another game with pay to win white. We've got plenty of lands. We've got some early interaction. A beautiful curve. I love it. Let's go. Plains and pass. Opponent has island, nothing. Okay, well, let's take a peek at their hand, see what they're hiding from us. Okay, interesting. We've got a little blue-black control kind of happening here. We could keep them off of their make disappear. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it. Opponent considers into some fresh cards, drops a land, and does nothing with it. So we could play Adeline here, but then on their turn, they're just gonna probably blot her out. So I think we're gonna wait. Elish Norn is the draw. Same problem, they can still just blot out whatever one thing we play, and since we have a lot of individually very expensive cards, but not any way to like go wide yet, we're gonna have to wait a minute. Okay, well, blot out still does get rid of our most expensive thing, but at least now we will still have something on the board if we choose to do a double spell. So we'll start with our hopeful initiate. Looks like they might have counter magic over there or something they could react with. And now we'll try for Adeline. All right, so they paid through the tax to use up their make disappear. That's fine. All right, we have double Mondrax now. So I'm okay throwing one into their removal. I'm going to chip away at the invasion of Gobakon. Because if we can get that to flip over, then we have some insurance against some of their destruction spells. Resolves. And immediately gets sacrificed. Alright, opponent finally drops their invasion of Amonkhet, which we knew they had. Guess we will discard our Mondrak. They did make us mill our Cityscape Leveler. If we can find one more land, we get that for free. All right, we'll play Elish Norn here. See if they still have counter spells tucked up in their hand. Nope, just an Infernal Grasp. All right, I gotta say, so far, we are not buying this win. I don't like it. Opponent on the consider plan. Still got 4 cards in hand. Drops their island for the turn and passes. All right, we are up to 8. Do we use the leveler here? We get 1 attack with it. We get to destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. We could take away their invasion or just wait and keep that for later. I think I'd rather hit our invasion, flip it. That way we'll have a way to make this leveler hexproof if we need it. free cast on Light Shield Array. So now, hopefully, opponent doesn't have like a Graveyard Trespasser. All right, they're just going to draw a bunch of cards. That's fine. So far, I haven't seen anything too expensive from the opponent. Just probably their lands are the most expensive thing they've got, right? Between Otawara and the double lands. Okay, so they play the Haughty Djinn and pass it over. Sword of Forge and Frontier, protection from red and green. Doesn't really help us against blue. But our leveler can actually destroy this guy when it attacks. Opponent tries to make a token that's a copy, but we can use our Light Shield Array to give our guys hexproof. So no Cityscape Leveler for you, opponent. And no Haughty Djinn either. Opponent down to 6. Alright, and they're digging for more cards. They play nothing and pass, so we will play our Sword of Forge and Frontier, see if that sticks. They negate it. Big sad, big sad. That's okay, though. We are 2 attacks away from winning this. Opponent falls to 3. We've got no cards in hand, though. Totally at the mercy of our own top deck. And we need them to whiff and have, like, no removal or blockers of any sort. Well, they find another Djinn. That's fine. Remember, our deck doesn't really have removal, per se. Ugh, extra lands. Not gonna do it. Alright, opponent with another Thirst. Maybe we're on the mill plan now. Maybe we can get them to deck themselves. They've only got 25 cards left. Okay, opponent discarded Cut Down. Good to see that that's useless against our buff Hopeful Initiate. Okay, opponent attacks our life. We're down to 4. And they back it up with a Tolarian Terror. Second Hopeful Initiate isn't gonna be good enough, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll just play it out and send the boys in to attack. You got it, opponent. Your deck is gonna beat us. All the money in the world couldn't save us this time. Alright, we died to a fairly budget Dimir deck, but I think we can still pay to win on our next one. Let's give it another shot. Okay, once again, very nice curve here. A 1-drop into some 3s and the Wandering Emperor up at the top. Let's go. Opponent opens up on a 5-cent dual land. I'm not judging people for playing cheap cards. I'm just, really proud of the fact that we have the most expensive deck you could possibly make, I think. Alright, so they've got a 1/2 Traveling Minister. I think we can safely attack into that, unless they're holding Giant Growth or something equivalent. Attack is good. Hey, they got the same lands we do. Cool. Calyx is going to be a problem. Again, don't really have any way to deal with him except for the 6-mana Farewell. Or perhaps Wandering Emperor. Or Lauren of the Third Path destroys an enchantment when she shows up, and Calyx is an enchantment. I guess also our Hopeful Initiate would have eventually picked up counters and could be destroying enchantments. Okay, opponent found a Galagreeters, gained some life. They missed their 4th land drop. So do we want Wedding Announcement here? Do we want Mael? Do we want Adeline? Do we want Wandering Emperor? A lot of great choices, all incredibly expensive cards. I guess we'll do Mael, even though she can't really attack or do anything here yet. Opponent lets us through, and we're tied at 19. All right, I'm expecting like ossifications or something to start showing up here any second. Boy, sometimes it sucks to be right. All right, so opponent's ossification is going to take away our Mael. That's totally fine. Opponent still didn't find a fourth land, and they pass it back. All right. So we've got 2 Wandering Emperors now. I think I just like playing out our Adeline, get some attacks going. We can even attack with Lauren because now Iganjo is only going to cost a single white. We've got 2 legends, so if they try to block her with their Gala Greeters, we just get to destroy it. But they're not gonna. Alright, opponent, you need to find something to do. They have their own wedding announcement. And they concede. They can't keep up with the awesome power of our pay-to-win deck. That's 2 out of 3. Let's go again. I mean, we're definitely doing better than I had thought we would do, to be honest. Okay, opening hand, we've got 3, 4, 5 for our curve and enough lands to get there. Let's do it. Yeah, I really wasn't expecting pay-to-win to actually work out this well. Not to jinx it. But I guess when your deck is some of just the best performing cards from different decks all put together into one deck, it is still a winning recipe. Opponent had to mulligan, so this might be over before it even starts. I like how they have the rainbow goldfish, because we have the gold goldfish, and we also have the, what is this, City of Brass sleeves, because everything's expensive. We got the money, we got the bling here, it's great. Second planes and pass. Opponent sticks us with a poison counter. Interesting. I guess we'll just go with wedding announcement here. Use up all of our mana. So is this going to be like mono blue poison, or are they going to... Wow, Serum Snare. Poison us again. That's fine. We can play another announcement and even add a Hopeful Initiate. Yeah, I don't usually see a mono blue poison proliferate deck. Usually they've got either green in here or black at least. So far, nothing. Opponent finds a 4th island and goes for the Mind Splice Apparatus, an artifact that we are probably going to just blow up with our Initiate. Especially because we're going to use Wanderer to put a counter on him, I think.
I have got new moves to teach you.
Or we can just use Lauren to blow it up. Alright, so what does this even do? At the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on it. Instants and sorceries you cast cost 1 less for each oil counter on it. So their stuff just gets cheaper and cheaper. That's cool. We got hit with another Prologue 2 Phyresis. Our poison count is now 3. And they have Inventive Iteration, and they return the Wanderer to our hand. Opponent, what are you doing, my friend? Okay, so we could use Lauren to destroy their apparatus. And if we can find a way to get one more counter on our Initiate, we can blow up their Saga when the time comes for that. Well, I guess I had forgotten that the second chapter of this gets them that artifact back, but now they're playing it with no counters on it, so like their stuff isn't any cheaper yet. I'm not too worried about it. We could take a peek at their hand with our Invasion, see if they're hiding anything else up there. Ooh, we'll take away Lear. And if we use the Wanderer here, now that we know it's safe to play her, we can put a counter on Lauren.
Strike fast and strike.
Attack. And I think this is lethal already. We don't even have to blow up their saga. Good game, opponent. All right, pay to win has worked 3 out of 4 times. That's pretty good. Let's go for 5 so we have an easier math equation ahead of us. All right, here we go. One more shot with pay to win white. Can we do it? Opening hand looks all right. We've got lots of planes, double invasion, and the Wandering Emperor. Our opponent is A.G. Orilla. I love it. I love it. All right, couple of planes in. Let's take a peek at their hand and see what they're up to. Ah, they are going to use Big Score to discard Portal of Phyrexia and then invoke it back. I don't think we want them to do that. I mean, I guess taking away Big Score slows them down, but they might have other ways to discard stuff. Okay, so let's hit them again. And this time, I think we take Invoke Justice? Alright, so opponent has a very slow game plan here, but we're not really putting a lot of pressure on them yet ourselves either. Do we just get Wanderer out now?
I'm not overconfident. You're just underwhelming. You are not much of a roadblock.
Okay, so now all we've got protecting us is a pair of farewells, which are pretty much useless against stuff like Jin Gataxias, and their tokens are going to make hasty work of our Emperor.
Try not to.
Third farewell, not what I wanted to draw. It's okay, we got plenty of awesome, pricey cards we can still find here. Iganjo, pricey and awesome, but again, not what I wanted to see. Although I guess it gives us our 6th mana, so now we can farewell them if we really need to. Okay, opponent just has electrostatic infantry and nothing else. I guess this is worth doing for creatures, artifacts, I mean, everything. It can all go. Although really, we gotta time that right so we get whatever they discard with Big Score, but before they get it back with Invoke Justice. Alright, they're going for it. So... clear the board again. Opponent with a Restoration of Iganjo. Alright, we've got Hopeful Initiate, we've got Wedding Announcement. Our opponent really doesn't like our Wedding Announcement, that's fine. Alright, Restoration. They don't really have anything in their graveyard, so they intentionally discard Jin Gataxias, and now they're gonna, what, bring him back with Invoke Justice? No, they have a Natali. Beautiful. And they hit Lauren off of that, and the portal to Phyrexia. Beautiful. Good news is we get to mop up all of this with our last farewell. We even get to take Jin out of the graveyard before they can invoke Justice to bring that back. So, say goodbye to everything, please. Alright, opponent, 2 cards in hand. We have nothing. Bitter Reunion. They get to discard Invoke Justice. Okay. At least they're not putting anything useful down there yet. I'll take a Hopeful Initiate. It's a start. Opponent draws their card for the turn and plays a land and hard casts a portal to Phyrexia. Oh my god. Alright, Wandering Emperor. I guess we just hold on to you for a minute. They get to take our Initiate. They sacrifice their Bitter Reunion to give their Initiate haste. And they attack. I think we'll make a samurai and block it?
May your blade strike true.
Okay, okay. I mean, we're still not in great shape. This portal's just going to keep bringing something back every turn. Fortunately, there's not a lot of great stuff for it to get back. Right now, just the initiate. And then we go and draw more lands. Alright. Buff up our token. Get in there. I guess we'll actually knock out one of these invasions. Gives us a little bit of insurance. Opponent with 3 cards in hand now. They want to destroy our light shield array, so we will just use that to make our token indestructible and hexproof. Interesting use of your, interesting card to have in your deck, period, but I guess. Alright, so they use their Invoke Justice to bring back Bitter Reunion, cycle some more cards around. Still nothing really in the graveyard that they can use with their portal. Alright, and we found Mondrak. So I kind of like using him to make 2 samurai tokens. Which means we could make him indestructible if we need to. We can't attack past this hopeful initiate yet. Opponent drops a land. This is a long drawn out game. I hope we come out ahead on this one. And opponent invokes Justice to bring back Otawara just to throw some more counters on their hopeful initiate. Okay, they have a very big brick wall of a creature, but they're not. Oh, they are attacking with it. Interesting. I mean, I guess we just chump block. That's fine. Hitting another land, not great. All right, so we could exile this guy right now. I think they want us to do that because then we lose the Wanderer, and then whatever they play next is probably worse than this guy. So I am just gonna put counters on one of the samurai.
Strike fast and strike hard.
We'll send that one after the invasion. We'll send that one up there. I guess we'll just keep Mondrak back. Not sure if that's necessary, but I don't want to risk him yet. Alright, we get to flip the invasion. And that's a turn. Both of our samurai pick up a counter. Opponent with 2 cards in hand, 1 card in hand. They attack again. Alright, I guess we're giving up one of our samurai tokens. Land not ideal. I think we're gonna just exile the initiate, or try to. Really wondering what opponent's last card in hand is at this point. They want to destroy my array again, so I will redeem that since it's going away anyway.
You're done.
Alright, we'll get in for 9. Opponent down to 7. Okay, we still have Plaza of Heroes, which we could use to make our Mondrak indestructible and hexproof if we desperately need it. Opponent does have the portal, but I don't think there's any creatures in any graveyard that they can bring back. They're going to try to use Destroy Evil, but like I just said, we can cash in the Plaza. So he survives, and opponent now has 1 card left in hand. We'll drop our wedding announcement. Attack for 10? And we did it! That's another pay to win. Our incredibly expensive mono white deck has won 4 out of 5 games. That's like 80% win rate. I'm pretty happy with that. So let's wrap it up with one more look at the deck itself here. Hopeful Initiate. I mean, I like his abilities. He was useful almost every time. At the very least, a growing threat that could keep adding counters. Not a bad way to spend 1 mana. Invasion of Gobakon, maybe go up to even 4 of these, being able to slow our opponent down. And since we didn't have a lot of other cheap stuff to do, this was kind of an important one to have. The Lorens of the Third Path, also great at knocking out opposing enchantments and artifacts. We never got to use her to draw cards, but very strong 3-mana card. Wedding Announcement, kind of one of the core pieces of this deck. I wish we had drawn it a little more often. But making those 1/1 tokens and then buffing everybody else up kind of works great, along with cards like Adeline, who also makes tokens and loves to get, you know, a buff wide board. So those work really well together. The One of Sword just was nice to have when it came up against our mono green opponent. That decided the game for us. You could put this in the sideboard or something. You could swap it for some of the other swords or some other cool equipment. But I thought that the effects on this one are pretty much always good to have, especially since we have some expensive cards, and I mean mana expensive cards. And we want to make sure we're hitting our lands. So being able to dig through the top of our deck and play extra lands each turn could be really good. But you probably don't want too many of these because by themselves they don't really do anything. Myrel, also pretty good. Again, another way to make tokens that get buffed by Wedding Announcement or get duplicated with Mondrak. It just is a nice overlapping synergy. Elish Norn is just straight up value. I mean, she's expensive for a reason. We never got to flip her over and do the Argent Etchings, but a 4-mana 3/5 with Vigilance in Standard is pretty solid, and that punishing effect where they're losing life every time unless they pay for it, I mean, that adds up as well. Mondrak, as we already said, another really important part of this deck, and another very expensive card, but doubling up the tokens that would be made. I mean, I first saw this and thought he's more of a commander kind of card, but it worked really well in Standard with what we're trying to do. And then, of course, Wandering Emperor, one of the best cards in the format right now as well. She is technically one of our only pieces of removal, aside from our farewells. And she can make tokens, which can get doubled, or she can give counters to somebody. Just a real Swiss Army knife of useful abilities. And then at the very top end here, creature, well, I guess it's not the very top end, but upper end, we've got the other version of Elish Norn. 5-mana 4/7 with Vigilance. Again, just a huge body. And, you know, mostly just stopping our opponent's permanents from doing stuff. We don't have a ton that do things when they enter the battlefield, but it's, again, just one of the most expensive cards. And if you want to make the most expensive deck and pay to win, you gotta have her. Controlling the board with our farewells. I mean, we saw that in our last game, how important exiling everything was, including graveyards that shut down their Reanimator strategy. Works against creatures, works against everything but planeswalkers, really. And then we had a couple of one-ofs here. Again, these are like 15 to 20 bucks a piece. Portal to Phyrexia. I don't think we ever really got to resolve our own, so maybe you could cut this. I think I'd rather have a second Cityscape Leveler, a huge 8/8 with Trample that gets to destroy stuff when it attacks and make tapped Power Stone tokens, which I think would get doubled with Mondrak, although by the time you're at 8 mana anyway, I don't think you really need the extra Power Stones, but well, its controller creates the tap Power Stones, so you could blow up your own stuff to make Power Stones, but I guess you're doing your opponent's stuff anyway, so that doesn't really quite work with Mondrak, but still really cool cards. And then the lands, Plaza of Heroes. I probably could have gone up to 4 copies of this mono colored deck. We didn't really need a whole lot of white. I mean, we have some double white stuff, but I would be okay going maybe up to 3 or even a full 4 Plaza. We had a lot of legends that we wanted to protect. I don't think we ever drew Mirex or Demolition Field, but hey, these are useful utility lands. Iganjo probably could do 2 of these or maybe even 3. I don't like to run too many because they are legendary, and that can kind of get you into a pickle. And we really wanted to hit all of our land drops and not have to sack a land to the legend rule because we wanted to get up to 5, 6, 8, 9 mana. So I tried to keep it pretty non-demanding in that way, and then just a bunch of planes. You know, pick your favorite. You can do full arts. You could do signed John Avons if you really want the most expensive deck you could possibly have. I don't know. So that's it. That's pay to win white in standard. And I think this kind of answers the question. Yeah, if you spend enough money on the best cards, I mean, we had like an 80% win rate with this thing. It's kind of insane. So I guess it kind of does matter, you know, who's playing and what your experience level is and what your format and, you know, what you're going up against in your meta or whatever. But based just on today, I would have to say Magic can be pay to win. You can just throw a ton of money into a deck that uses the most expensive cards in the format, and we just kind of carried that to an impressive 4-5 win rate. So I would love to hear what you think down in the comments, though. Could you make this deck better? Could you make it more expensive? Could you make a budget version that performs just as well, maybe without relying on the $15, $20 cards? So many different things you could do with this shell, and I'm really excited to see what you come up with. So let me know down in the comments. And while you're there, check out that link for Into the AM. Grab yourself a very sharp and not too expensive polo. So you'll be the best dressed witch or wizard at your next FNM or game night. Then make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the great stories you'll only find here on Magic Arcanum. We'll see ya.